Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Paws Up Halftime Report. Let me make sure my title is here. Yeah, there it is. This is the Paws Up Halftime Report. I am Jake Gibson. Both Jonathan Mayer and Kevin Barral are busy, respectively. Johnny with, of course, men's soccer, who are coming off their 1-0 win over the UAB Blazers, which is cool to see. And, of course, Kevin Barral working on his recap for SI and, of course, covering the Marlins. And it's not looking good in Philadelphia right now. So it's just me for the halftime report, but uh, it's been a pretty good first half for FIU. They are tied with the New Mexico State Aggies by a score of 14-14. Now, we've seen there are some good takeaways, of course, for this game. However, there are also some negatives that we've seen so far, including maybe a bit of collusion. I'm just kidding. I don't want to say collusion, but there was definitely an instance where really felt like FIU was a bit robbed. Thankfully, again, the game is tied. Your score is FIU 14 and the New Mexico State Aggies 14 in Las Cruces, New Mexico. Give me just a second while I check something on my end right now. Okay, the stream is looking good. Thank you, by the way, to everybody who is supporting the stream in the FIU Panthers Sports fan group on Facebook, and of course to all our viewers on YouTube and Twitter as well. We can't thank you guys enough. So let's get into the statistics. Why don't we? And see what has worked for the Panthers and what hasn't. Now, I think it's fair to say both teams started off hot to begin this game, as both teams scored touchdowns on their not on their yes, I should take that back. All right, so after FIU's first punt, right, they began the game with a 3-play punt. A bit unfortunate. It was a third and short. They liked to punt. Makes sense. After that, New Mexico State scores the touchdown on their first drive, right? It was a good-looking drive by the Aggies. Some great passing by Pavia. Pavia, that dual threat sort of player. He can throw and he can run. He pretty much did it all on that first drive. Some great just overall. So, whoa! Is that Kevin Barral?
Yes, sir.
So you came to my stream instead of watching the end of the Marlins game. You know what? I respect it, Kevin.
I stopped watching it in like the 5th inning.
Sorry, Kevin, but the Marlins had a good season. Would you say?
Hey, at least that means I get to go to Vice Night next week. So
he gets to go to Vice Night, ladies and gentlemen. Hell yes. Alrighty, Kevin. Well, now that you're here, let's hear your thoughts on what we saw. It was both teams very active to begin the game. FIU and New Mexico State sharing a pair of touchdowns on FIU's second drive and New Mexico State's first drive, and then started to slow down there a bit.
yeah, I was very impressed by FIU's start. Just being totally honest there. Key one really felt like the offensive movement kind of felt like FIU was in full control, and then obviously I think we mentioned this extensively in recap and previews and previews and the preview show that Diego Pavia really is a stud, and he's gonna make plays with his feet, and that's all he's done. That's all he's done tonight. He's already at, I believe, doesn't have that many rushing yards. It just kind of feels like he's been extending the plays. Obviously, 169 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Shout out CJ Christian, another interception for him on the season. And I believe FIU also had a forced fumble there. And I mean, overall, it's been a pretty good game. It's kind of on and off. I think I mentioned this, that both Peace and Bach were back. A couple of drives that they weren't there, but for the most part, I believe they've been there. We've got to check later participation and see just kind of in snap percentages and all that. But for the most part, FIU looks pretty good. Can't really complain.
Yeah, so New Mexico State eventually in the second quarter scores their second touchdown of the day, takes a 14-7 lead, and that was in the midst of back-to-back punts by the Panthers. We kind of felt like the FIU's offense started to regress there a bit. I was seeing it. Of course, you had that one drive, the 2 back-to-back false start penalties pretty much killed the Panthers in any momentum they could have had on that drive. And then the second one, just some other silly penalties and just not amazing play calling. However, they figured it out following an interception by Pavia with I believe only like 2 minutes left to go in the second quarter.
I
And
believe that was his first interception of the season too. I gotta look back.
it was, I believe it was, and FIU, to their credit, what a good teams do in football. That you have to capitalize on turnovers, and that's exactly what FIU did. Granted, they may have had a little bit of help from would-be sack recorder Sterling Webb with the excessive celebration, doing a bit of, I believe, a front flip on the ground. That was deemed a flag. And it set FIU up near midfield, and then you had a ginormous run by Keyshawn Owens, and then Jenkins did the rest, and then handed off to Shamari Lawrence. FIU tied it up right before half.
I like that the run game is kind of working for this team. Owens with 51 yards, Jenkins with 38, and Shamari Lawrence ran in for the touchdown. So yeah, and kind of getting the receivers involved too. Jenkins 56 yards for Chris Mitchell.
Yeah.
Just moving the ball a lot. So nice to see. And I don't know why the stats are showing Flex Joseph on here with 8 yards, but I guess it says 19 yards for Flex, but that's not right. So.
I'm looking at the ESPN stats, right? It has Owens at 51 yards, 5 carries. Jenkins himself, 8 carries, 38 yards, and a touchdown. And then Shamari Lawrence, 2 carries, 8 yards, and the other touchdown. So both FIU's touchdowns have been on the ground, which is not to discredit anything from Keon Jenkins' passing, 12 for 16, 109 yards. Not too bad. He's averaging 6.8 yards a pass. So I had mentioned this when we had begun when I began the halftime show before you stepped in, Kevin. That final drive of the half by New Mexico State, there was that run by Star Thomas to sort of try to get away from the FIU defenders, try to get to the first down marker. The FIU's defense rips the ball out of his hands and runs it back all the way to the end zone, but the play was called dead maybe a split second before they do that. Did the refs blow the whistle too early on that?
Yeah.
They absolutely did, right?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, because that absolutely would have been a house call for the Panthers if the refs just didn't blow their whistle for like half a second. It would have been their second turnover. And when we had talked about New Mexico State struggles of turnovers, of fumbling the ball in our preview, and of course FIU's ability to force turnovers as well on defense, both of those we have seen happen so far in this first half.
Yep. Yeah, just tough overall, but I mean, you're tied, so you can't complain. Shout out Chase Gabriel nailing those 2 field extra points. I'm sorry.
Chase Gabriel, he missed that extra point against Liberty, but so far he's redeemed himself 2 for 2.
Yeah, he looks good.
The only other thing I really wanted to mention was, I believe on FIU's third drive of the half, the turnover on downs in the red zone, staring at a 4th and 1. Jenkins and FIU's offense did the Philly, what was it called? The brotherly shove technique from Jalen Hurts and the Eagles, and it didn't work out for them. They were stopped. They say maybe the snap was a bit early. Jenkins wasn't prepared, but at the end of the day, they were near the 5-yard line, and instead of kicking the field goal, going for 3, they elected to try to go for it all, and they were stopped and did not get any points out of that drive.
Yeah, the last thing I'm going to mention quickly as the stats are loading up here, I have confirmation that those are Josiah Meeman stats. So they've gotten all the tight ends. They got 2 tight ends involved. We're still yet to see Rocky Beers get involved. I know we've had him in there for a bit, but I like what FI is doing so far. Just really got to get it going, man. They got to get it going. And on top of that, they've struggled in the second half of games this year. The only once, and that was the North Texas game, that they actually did score in the second half. So I mean, if you want to win, you literally have to score. So yeah.
I don't think they can hold New Mexico State's defense to nothing in the second half, man. That FIU offense needs to figure it out and adjust. Now, before we sign off here, something really quick to note, because we have another Conference USA game going on right now. Jacksonville State is beating Middle Tennessee by a score of 24-23. Less than a minute to go in the third quarter. Maybe if you want to do a bit of channel surfing, now that sadly the Marlins game is about over, you're looking for something else to watch on commercials.
It ended. It's over.
It's over. Well,
yeah.
Well, I'll hand the mic to you. Do you have any takeaways from the Marlins season you'd like to share with the fans?
You'll have to go to fishonfirst.com. Check it out.
Plug in the Fish on First. Well, Kevin, nice for you to hop in for the halftime report. And once again, your score at half. Will you be here for post game?
Yeah.
Sweet. So halftime score, FIU 14, New Mexico State 14. Should be a good one in the second half, we hope. We'll see you at the end of the game. Paws up, everybody.